chapter 10 just summarize or it doesn't summarize, it just correlate the previous chapter contents to the current production oil and gas. So this chapter considers how the concept of the petroleum geology can be actually applied to petroleum exploration and production. And also it reviews the global distribution of reserves around the world. So let's just go over quickly. So simply finding oil and gas is very difficult. So when you drill a well, the drilling a well costs $1 million, right? Several million, but you don't know and you're not sure whether you can find the oil and gas from that drilling well. So good geology is very essential for small companies. Otherwise, it's gonna bankrupt, right? The broke. So success, the number of wells drilled before finding oil is really high, it's a very low chance, but as you drill more, you have a higher chance. But if you apply the science, then this curve can be go to right? Left side. So as you have more knowledge on the petroleum geology or the information around the basin, then you have a higher success rate. So probability of well finding petroleum, if we say that it's from 0 to 1, 5 parameters must be met. Right? We've seen this one from the chapter 1, source rock, and reservoir, and trap, and cap rock or the seal. Right? And there should be a sufficient heat to generate the oil and gas, but not too high. So then we can convert this one to finding the oil and gas as a multiplication of each probability. Right? The probability of the source rock being present, 0 to 1. Right? And probability of the reservoir being present, 0 to 1. And trap being present, and cap rock, and the correct thermal maturation occurring. Or then if you multiply all these factors, then you have a overall probability of prospect containing oil and gas. Right? Then let's look at one example. We have prospect A, B, C, D here, and source rock probability 0.9, 0.6, 70%, 30%, reservoir 10%, and then etc., etc. And then the probability of the success can be assessed by this rule of thumb, 0.3, 30%, 5%, 4%, and 0%. So these 5 conditions should be examined when you determine the drilling well or the location of the well. Petroleum system approach is essential to both objective appraisal of the prospect and to an assessment of the ultimate recoverable reserve, so that basin modeling is required to assess this reserve. The thermal and subsidence history of the basin should be, it gives you the area and the volume of the basin, and volume of distribution of the petroleum in a given basin gives you the idea about this petroleum system. So that in Shell, the oil company Shell has their own approach. In their own approach, they assess the volume of the petroleum change, calculated from the volume, richness, and excursion factor of the source rock. So they look at how much petroleum can be generated from a source rock bed, right, by the excursion. Then, so there was a conversion factor, and also it will be related to the temperature. Trapping and the preservation of the petroleum system. And then efficiency, the last one is how can we efficiently produce it from when we find the reservoir. So then you can assess the economic perspective of the petroleum exploration. Okay, then reserve, I think we talked about the reserve and the reservoir before. Right? Reserves are resources that can be economically extracted from the resource base. So we know that the in subsurface there are like coal or gold, even iron or oil and gas distributed there. And then it's just the resource base. And we don't know whether we can extract it or not. And as you go to this direction with increasing geologic knowledge and the economic feasibility increases, and it's called a proved reserve. Right? So additional resources, possible reserve, probable reserve, and a proved reserve is a term the people use to indicate the resources and the reserve. So as the oil and gas rises and falls, oil in a marginally commercial field may be reserved one day, but only a resource the next day, depending on whether it's commercially feasible to produce it or not. Similarly, the shale oil or the shale gas and oil sand become reserved as the extraction technology improves, because they become more feasible to produce it economically. So this gives you an idea about the concept of the reserve and the resource. And again, I think this is the Society of the Petroleum Engineer and American Petroleum Institute, right? American Association of Petroleum Geologists. These society define the reserve, proved reserve. And proved reserves are defined as the estimate of the hydrocarbon to be recovered from a given date forward. And proved reserves can be categorized, or they also divided into two: proved developed reserve and the proved undeveloped reserve. And proved developed reserves are those reserves that can be expected to be recovered through the existing well. So it's already, you have a structure or infrastructure to produce the oil and gas. And proved undeveloped reserves are those additional reserves that are expected to be recovered from future drilling or deepening the existing well to a different reservoir, or installation of an improved recovery project. So here, proved reserve and developed proved reserve and undeveloped proved reserve. And this is probable reserve and possible reserve. And okay, the last topic is just to give you an idea about the global reserve. As we see from the previous chapter, Arabian and Iranian basin has the most largest reserve. Right? And Siberia in Russia also has the largest reserve. And Volga, Ural, and Mississippi Delta is in Gulf of Mexico. Permian Basin, also in the United States, Texas, Surte, this was the, if you remember, it was embayment, right? Epicratonic embayment. Alberta, so, you've heard of it, right? Texas, Netherlands and Germany, Venezuela, Caspian, north of Alaska, San Joaquin, Los Angeles. Yep, and this number is the one corresponding to here. So 1 to 25, you have Arabian is here. 1 second is Siberia, right? Ural. And what do we have? Let's look at 4. Mississippi Delta, number 5. Number 5 is here. And Texas. In China, 27? 27 means what? We have 27? No, it doesn't have 27. We'll see. So you can find the location of the famous reserve around the world using this map. And histogram is geographic distribution of the world's petroleum reserve here. Middle East, Eurasia, and North America, Latin America, Africa.